Hello! I'm Kendra, and this is Hooked by Happenstance Makes Monday, episode 7, Jubilant. Why jubilant this week? Well, according to dictionary.com, jubilant is an adjective meaning showing great joy, satisfaction, or triumph, rejoicing, exultant. And this week was a very joyful and fun week. We had a good week around here. We celebrated my son's birthday at the beginning. That is a very strange bird sound. Okay. As I was saying, we celebrated my son's birthday. My husband had an extra day off of work because of that, and so we had 5 days of him home, and we had lots of fun family things together, and that made everybody happy. So that was the joy part. As far as satisfaction, I got all the things that I needed to get done, even though he was home, which sometimes is a little bit iffy. And the reason that I felt some triumph is because the kids started their summer reading programs at the library this week. So we were actually there 3 days this week, which is a lot to go back and forth because it's a half hour each way to our library that we go to. And there's a lot of people there, and I don't always do very well in crowd social situations. They make me very anxious, but I handled it all really well this time, and I've actually made it through a very stressful week feeling relatively calm, and that is a triumph for me. I did make sure to bring my crochet to all those events and in the car on the way to each of those things, and I did and did not do it. Like, there were plenty of times when it just sat in its project bag, but it was with me as an option, and when I needed it, it was there, and that is good. So it gave me something to keep me occupied while I was waiting, because I don't like getting to things early because the stress of waiting for things to start really, really stresses me out. Which is also ironic because the other thing that stresses me out is rushing because I'm going to be late. Yeah. Despite all of our celebrating and fun having and being generally jubilant, I did get some things completed this week. So the first thing that came off my hook was the We Hook Wednesday pocket number 5. It is this green pocket here. It features some half double crochet for our sampler bit. It's the same height as last week's, but it is more narrow. There will be a card on the end screen. If you wonder what We Hook Wednesday is, it's a thing that I'm doing every Wednesday from now through American Thanksgiving. So I did make this pouch. It is made with an eye hook and Red Heart Super Saver in the color Spring Green. This is one of my very favorite greens that Super Saver has. I use it for lots and lots of things, and it matches lots and lots of colors. And then you may be thinking, with the sampler bits that half double crochet, that's kind of boring. Well, it is important to have some little bits of visual rest in our countdown calendar we're putting together, and the more simple stitches of something like this provide that bit of rest that we need. The next thing that I finished was the 3 seashell spirals and cuttlebone spiral shell number 2. This was my speedy stitch this week. There will also be a link to that on the end screen. And this is what it looks like on the front. And this is what it looks like on the back. Now the ends are not woven in because I plan to use this as an embellishment. I used Red Heart Super Saver in a variegated colorway whose name I do not remember, and a number 7 hook. So this pattern, like last week's pattern for the speedy stitches, was this one, which I've already showed you. And that was spiral shell number 1, and this is spiral shell number 2 from the 3 seashell spirals and cuttlebone by Akua Leslie Hope. I'm not super enthused about the instructions, however I like the finished product. This one had a turn instruction where there shouldn't have been, and this one I did not really understand, based on the way it explained, how it wanted you to put, you basically had to put like a strip of fabric, and how it wanted you to curl it and then make it all hook together. I found the instructions confusing, but I made it work. I just kind of made it up, and I'm happy with how the shape turned out. I just am really not sure that I followed the instructions. And I know for a fact that I did not follow the instructions exactly for this one. So if you're interested in the shape progression, I would recommend the pattern. I mean, it is free on Ravelry, but it's not necessarily a super straightforward pattern if you are not comfortable figuring things out a bit or trusting your judgment when the pattern seems a little off. So that is worthy of note. The next thing I completed this week, I actually made start to finish this week. I used inspiration from the fabrics that were in the update for my Etsy shop, HookedByHappenstance.etsy.com this week, and it included some fabrics that had owls on them, blue background with some pink flowers. So I decided I wanted to make a stuffed owl toy. And I used the pattern from Daisy Cottage Designs to get the proportions for the body. However, I made my own eyes, beak, and bow. Those are not from the instructions, and the instructions they have actually include like legs, and I just wanted a freestanding little owl, squishy friend, as well as like a throw pillow kind of thing maybe. This is now actually up for sale in my Etsy shop. The thing that I thought was interesting about this is a toy that is made using half double crochet. The majority of the toys I make use single crochet, so just something different. It gave a different texture, but I'm very, very happy with how it turned out, and I really like the weight of this particular toy. I know it's kind of weird to like, but the weight is just, it's very pleasant. So I used a G-hook, as I do for all my toys, and Red Heart Super Saver, and these are scraps. I know that the blue is Delft blue. I do not remember which pink this is, but it's kind of the medium pink. And then we have some pumpkin, black, and white. So that was just all little scrap balls. I take my yarn when the skeins start to fall apart, I make them into balls, and then those balls just live in a basket. I use the big hunks till they get down to 20 grams, and then they go into my bag for my scrap blanket. So this is a very fun pattern, and I think there will definitely be some more owls in my future because I found it a very pleasing pattern to make. And like I said, I mostly just used the proportions from that pattern, and then I made up the rest. The next thing that I finished, I am super excited about. I am calling it finished despite the fact that you will see tails hanging off it all over the place. Most of these ends are partially woven in, but I'm going to wait till after I block it to finish the weaving and the trimming of them. This is the Down the Garden Path Shawl by Madcap Fancies. It is a paid pattern from Ravelry. I talked about the pattern and stuff in last week's episode, if you'd like to see more about that. It is made out of some mill end yarn I got from Joann's, which was this really thin, like super thin fingering, verging on, like it's really thin. And I used an eye hook to get this nice breathy shawl. As you can see me right through the shawl. And the thing that I really like about this is how the way the increases are worked. It has these really long, like, front tails. So it actually will stay on your shoulder. I've been really happy with, I made a previous pattern from the same designer. I talked about it again last week. And it also had enough increasing in the front that it stays on. I really don't like shawls that are just like really, really rectangular, so they're constantly falling off. I feel like there needs to be a certain amount of weight forward to keep the shawl on, because then you can do things when you're wearing your shawl. This actually is also long enough you could probably tie it, and if I was feeling real sassy, I could probably tie it behind my back too. But I'm not going to make you all watch me try and tie it behind my back. So that is the Down the Garden Path, and I'm hoping that once I block this out, it will look nice enough that I'm willing to enter it in the fair, because that is my current plan, is that this is going to be my county fair entrance for a stole, which is just like their shawl category. So I'm very, very excited. The one modification I did make is the pattern said that you're supposed to put basically like an edging of single crochet along the top. And I started putting it in last night, and I was just really not happy with the way it looked visually. So I'm going to block it and see how I feel after that point. If I do think that it even needs it, I'm pretty happy with the way the edge along the top looks as it is. I mean, I know it would look a little more finished with some more stitching, but I don't know that the way it was done is the right choice. So I'm going to leave it as is, block it, and then I will come back to it if I feel like I need to add anything else. But that is the Down the Garden Path shawl, and this only took me 2 weeks, and I didn't work most of the week this week. I did not work on this. I picked it up after I finished my Etsy update last night. I picked it up, and that's when I finished the edging. There was also one other night this week that I did just a little bit of work, maybe like a row, but most of it I did last night. I did complete a few other crocheted items to add to my Etsy store this week. And they were some very simple coasters. Here's one of them. This is actually not to go in my Etsy store. This is my new coaster for myself because I was working on these coasters, which were inspired by the bicycle fabric on the project bags I put up this week. I wanted to make a coaster that was floral, kind of like all the flowers that were on the bags. And then I saw this pattern, which is from Coats & Clark originally. I found it for free on Ravelry, and it actually links you to the Wayback Machine. So I made the coasters out of some various cotton yarns that I had on hand in, you know, the blue, the pink, the yellow, and the gray. And I think I used one of like every brand of yarn that I have on hand in cotton. But when I was working on them, I set down my hook, and I've been using, still on the hook. I've been using my size 7 4.5 millimeter tulip ergonomic handled hook. I've just been using, I had never used the number 7 till recently, and now I'm using it for lots of things. I find that it is meeting a certain need that I have, you know, the fall summer between a G and an H. What do you know? Because it falls between a G and an H. But I set down my hook, and it was right next to the G hook that I had used to make the owl. And then I picked it up to make my next coaster, and I started making it with the G. Well, that means the coaster made with the G is slightly smaller than the coaster made with the number 7. So let's see if I can line these up. The one that's for me I've already been using, so it's already got coffee stains on it, as a good coaster should. So you can see it's just a little bit smaller, so it's not like a huge amount, but it's definitely noticeable as far as selling sets of coasters, which is what the purpose of these is. So I went ahead and just kept that one for myself. Now I have completed then 5 coasters all the way. This is the full set of the blue, pink, yellow, and gray available in my Etsy shop, as well as the one blue one for myself. I am also in process on another 2 sets for the shop. I have 2 blue, 2 yellow, 1 pink. You saw the pink on the hook, and then I need to finish 2 more of the gray. And I'm just not considering these done yet because they don't have their ends woven in, but obviously the stitching portion of these is done. So, like I said, working on coasters. I've also been really happy, I meant to show you, with this bag. This is actually one of my bags that I had used when I was trying to figure out what size I wanted to make my bags for my shop. And this one is actually slightly bigger, the wedge on the bottom. The wedge on most of my bags ends up being a 4-inch bottom, and this would be a 5-inch bottom. But I've been really liking how I have 4 skeins of cotton just sitting in the bottom with, you know, their little tails all up. There's plenty of room for a project on top, and actually, even if it was only the 4-inch bottom, that would be fine. I just took this bag because it was, you know, a reject. It was an abnormal, so it became mine. But I've been enjoying working out of that. The other thing that I'm working on, which I did not pick up till last night, but I did make a decent amount of progress, is my Havana shirt dress by Crystallized Designs, also a paid pattern. I don't usually use very many paid patterns, but I have been a lot more lately. This is made out of some more mill ends from Joann's and an H hook, and I'm working on the bodice. As you can see, straps are there, top is there. I think I have just a few more rounds of the bodice to do. I think by pattern it might be 2 more rounds, but I'm probably going to add a little bit more. I'm going to try it on, just make sure it fits. And I have already figured out with the straps, I don't know that I am super keen on the way that they are fashioned. I don't know that they are going to work properly for my body type, but I actually really like them for generally holding the dress up. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is finish out the bodice and the skirt, and then I will try it on and see what I think will look best, and I will probably make a secondary strap to go over the top, which I think will actually be nice because this yarn is not heavy, but it's certainly not light, so there will be a little bit of weight to it, which was indicated in the pattern and is indicated the reason why you make the straps the length they are is partially because of some weight issues. But I'm going to then put a secondary, either like a wider strap that's more decorative or maybe even a cap sleeve. We'll see how I feel like it looks on me once it's completed. But for now, We just gotta get the bodice done. So I'm going to try and focus on the Havana shirt dress a lot this week because it is the last remaining project I think I currently have on the hook that I need to complete for the county fair. I also would like to this week go through my projects and pull out all the fair entries. I don't have to have my fair entries done for about a month, but that means that I have a month to make sure I have all my bases covered for all of the areas that I want to enter. And if you have not entered your county fair, you should look into it. It's actually super easy, open class entries. Most fairs, especially if you live in semi-small locations, are really, really looking for people to show things at the fairs because it's kind of a dying art. It's something that a lot of people don't participate in, but there are open class options. I know here it is actually free to enter, and I think that is the case for most county fairs. And then there is also, there are premiums paid out for the ribbons here. So they're not huge. It's like $2 or something, but that's still cool. And it's, you know, it's fun to get a ribbon. So I am working on that, and I will probably, like I said, go through my list of fair entries and just make sure that I have all of my things checked off. I would also like to this coming week work a bit more on the chrysanthemum shawl that just needs its edging finished. Kind of trying to tie up some loose ends, and a little bit of time has passed. I filmed the end of the podcast, but I ran out of space on the file, I guess. I don't know. But a storm came through and it rained. So you missed the part where I told you about how there was a storm coming in and we could hear the thunder together. So just pretend you can hear thunder in the blue sky. Well, it was blue on this side of the house and it was very, very black on the other, I found. On the screen next to me, there is a link to the We Hook Wednesday playlist in case you've missed any of those, as well as this week's Speedy Stitches in case you missed it. There is also a link to my Etsy shop where you can check out the project bags, crochet dolls, critters, and more that are on my shop. And this week's update was bicycles and owls. Also, down below there is that big red subscribe button. If you want to hit that, then all my videos will show up in your feed every time they come out. And if you throw a thumbs up on this video, then I know that you're out there, and it also helps me to rise higher in search so that our other crochet and fibery friends can find me. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Bye!